you know, it's almost like a US, UK.
It was the Power Summit. Like
Do you know
that
what
was,
I mean?
they were the biggest battles. There was a genuine 50,000 cash prize.
Thanks for doing the pod, bro. I really appreciate it, man.
It's wicked to be here, man.
Really appreciate it, man. You're one of those people I love. I always feel like I see you at, we always see each other at bare
It's
events.
always passing ships
Bare
in it.
events.
Yeah.
I can't remember, there was one we was at, and I think it might have been the GQ one. Do you remember that a few years ago?
Awards.
Yeah. And I remember that was like my first event, and I was like, oh, right, this is quite big, man. But then I think I seen yourself. Who else? There's a few of us. And I think we all done that thing where, because I remember going and they were like, it's an invite for one, basically.
Yeah, so you can't take...
So you got no brethren. But I feel like, I can't remember who else it was. It was me, you, I think it was Ella Air.
Yep.
And I want to say maybe AJ Odudu.
Yeah. And was Sinead Harnett there as well? Was it that one where Ray was? Was it the one that was
It was the one that was at the
Edition Hotel, or was it the one that was at the Tate?
The Tate.
The Tate,
It was
right.
the Tate one.
Ella was there. Yeah.
And we done that thing where like we all got like the invite where they just say, look, it's just one.
And then we all found our way to each other and just...
Yeah. And we stayed upstairs and we were like, hey, welcome. Yeah, cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Josh, you finally tried quickly,
man.
innit?
Yeah, bro. How are you in yourself though, bro?
You know what? Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know you're always releasing music and stuff, and you're in that kind of space of doing stuff on TV and whatnot. Like, so you grew up in Hackney, right? I didn't know that, you know?
No way.
I don't know why. I thought you was from South. I don't know why.
Because I've been there for 13 years.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Everyone tells me I'm honorary Southeast London
Yeah,
now.
there's that. But like, I don't know why. You give off like a South vibe. Does that make sense? You're not like an East, like, because most people from like East, I feel like they're proper, like, you can hear the twang. Does that make sense? But then because I feel like Hackney is not far from Islington, so the twang ain't as East London-y. Does that make sense?
So like Wiley's, like I would say Wiley's like, we're all proper East London, but like when you hear Wiley's like, but Annie's the generation before, innit? So there is a little bit more of the, I feel like the Cockney was really, to be fair, the Cockney kind of migrated anyway. It went to Essex, innit?
Yeah.
After like post-war, the East London aspiration was get to Essex. So all my family are in Essex now. I've got nobody in Hackney.
Yeah.
Maybe an uncle, aunt, and first cousin.
I didn't know Essex was as big as what it was, you know, until I got older.
Goes to the coast, bro. That's,
When someone said the other day, big up Steve-O, because he was like, Steve-O the man was like, oh, come do my podcast. I was like, all right, cool. And then when I see where he lives, I thought, why? We're still in Essex. And I've been driving almost for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I think my perception has always been like maybe Romford, Brentwood. That's as far as I feel like Essex goes for me.
My dad was in Brentwood, so that was as far as I went for a long time.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was always like even closer than that, like Woodford, Chingford.
Yeah.
'Cause my nan moved to Woodford when I was like 18. And I was like, even then I was like, this is a bit too far for me. And I jumped ship. That was when I first moved out.
Okay. What was East London like back in the day though? Because you was talking about skating before, innit?
Yeah.
And like how there was like, you be skating and stuff with your friends, but like the man them are still there on the block doing what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, what was that like when you was growing up?
I was introduced to skating by who would eventually be the oldest, you get me? Like they were oldest then obviously because of the age difference, but they were on skates when I started playing out. And when I remember I kid you not, I remember the first time I was out and I went round the corner on the estate and I was like 6 and I bumped into a guy called Mark Warren and he was like, you're Pete's kid, innit? And I was like, yeah. It was like, cool. You know what I mean? Like under the arm and that was it. And then got to know like Wayne and Sean Catlin, Terry and everyone. Chesty was here them times. And there was so many characters in the flats. And it was like, I could skate on the ends, but it was still like a bit iffy. Like skating got me into so much and took me away from a lot of trouble for a long time because I took it seriously. Played street hockey, ice hockey for a little bit, but then almost as soon as I started to make progress with ice hockey, I got out of it and got into something called aggressive inline skating, which is basically what skateboarders do on skateboards, but on inlines. Skateboarders called us fruit booters, we called them wood pushers, save the trees and all that. But we became friends at a certain level and I got to like a competitive level with that. So that kept me out of trouble for a little while, but there was still a lot of like going to Clapton Station in my normal clothes getting to Liverpool Street, going to McDonald's toilet and putting my skate clothes on and not telling anyone that I listen to Nirvana. Whereas now I'm sat here dressed like a skater. Do you know what I mean? Like, could I look any more middle-aged and white? But it really, like, it was different in it because I think things weren't as accessible as they were. So I only found my way to this. Like, I grew up on jungle outside of that. That was at my nan's house. It was Jason Donovan, Kylie Minogue, and Inklebert Humperdinck. Luckily, I escaped that quite quickly. But I grew up on jungle. But then through skating, got into loads of music that I wouldn't have otherwise listened to. But if I'd have told certain people that, I would have been called a grunger, and that wouldn't have been good for me.
Yeah, because there was a time where
problems.
you was like, "Oh, you're a grunger." Like I remember that in school. It's like, "Oh, you're a grunger." And like that would be like kids that would be into skating. Yeah. And weirdly, that's how I knew about Green Day,
Green Day,
Green Day, bro, back in the day.
Green Day, Time of Your Life, Good Riddance is like one of the most I don't think
and then got some tunes, you know?
I don't think there's a song that encompasses, I don't know what the right word is here. It is, but it is nostalgia in a nutshell. It's so like, it's melancholy. It's so happy, but it's so sad. You know, like all said and done, I hope you've had the time of your life. Oh.
Yeah, I knew about them lot. So in school, we had a bunch of kids that, and I'm talking like more between like year 7 and year 8. This is when I first was at school, and you can call them grungers or whatever. So at the top of our school, there used to be like, I say the top. So I went to Pimlico School. So we had about 4 playgrounds. Like it was all kind of split into different areas. And there was a little hill. We had like a, it was that sport where you jump in the sand, high jump, whatever it is. Yeah. They used to chill up there and they used to bring their skateboards in. And I remember like some of my friends, like who went to the same primary school, secondary school, you try to chill with the same people, innit, that you went to school with. But very quickly I got ostracized of like, you're wearing Reebok Classics. It's not. It doesn't really. Yeah, I was stuck. You don't really fit in here. But they used to listen to Green Day. Yeah, that's how I knew about it. So I was like, oh,
it's probably it's definitely how I found Green Day, Blink-182, NoFX, Skunk and Anansie, Nirvana, all that stuff that I kind of didn't
Smashing Pumpkins and them, man.
I didn't play when certain people came around to my nan's.
Skunk and Anansie, bro.
Yeah. Weak as I am. I met Skunk at a festival. It was a V festival back in the day when V festival used to happen. And she was like, is it cool if my niece gets a picture? I think it was her niece or a goddaughter. And I was like, why are you asking me for a photo? I want a photo with you. I don't think I asked.
Yeah, it was Skin.
Skin. Sorry, my bad.
Skin, man. I only seen it because we done Masked Singer.
Yes,
she was one of the people on Masked Singer, and that was, I think, maybe the first year I had done it, and I was like a bit starstruck. Yeah, because like, and you know what it's like, you've been part of the show. Yeah, but the hardest thing is when you was on it, I was like, I know you, innit? So I felt like that one was annoying because, you know, on the show, I feel like there's always going to be someone revealed and everyone looks at me like, come on, man, this is...
You should have known. Yeah,
this should have been the one you should have got.
Everyone on the panel from different places.
Bro, I was like, how did I not get that one?
Can I tell you a secret?
Go on.
Well, not even a secret, just I was kind of gutted still. When I went off, there's 2 sides to it. On one hand, I got paid the same amount of money and only had to do one show. On the other side of it, I was like, the guy who stayed on was rubbish. And I had, if you ever heard the ABBA I had ready for the next round, bro, I'm like, I really wanted to sing some of them songs. Like, I took the prep serious.
Would you say that's the performer in you?
Yeah.
In that respect.
And you know what? There was something really nice at that point in being able to do something but not having to do it with my face. To actually just being able to like just not have to be Professor Green for a bit.
That must be nice within the growth of you as an artist, where you're like, I get to just do cool stuff now within my music career, and also things that like, you know, like my children can watch. Yeah, that must feel like, that's where I'm in my life.
My son hated the costume.
Swear.
And I feel like that might have been the vibe in the audience.
Because you was
as well.
Teabag. Yeah, he was Teabag.
But it was quite a scary Teabag.
It was massive. It was tall. It was so tall to the point where I was like, who is this, man?
Peter Crouch.
And it looked bigger as well. That's the problem. It looked bigger on TV.
Yeah, he was just like, I don't like him. I was like, and then I took the hat off, obviously, innit? And he was like, oh my God, that is you. I still don't like the tea bag.
The honesty that kids give you is so humbling.
Straight up.
You're like, oh,
Yeah.
right, boy, yeah. But I wanted to go back in terms of where I first came in contact with you when I watched, obviously you was battle rapping and stuff. And I think it might have been, for me anyway, it would have been Jump Off.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not talking Jump Off when it was at Scala indoors. I'm talking outside when it was on YouTube and it used to be outside. Benny Scars used to, I'm talking that.
Yeah. That was at Astoria, like coming out and still battling outside the venue.
People just, just outside in the streets.
Yeah, we were outside as well though. Because you know what I loved about Jump Off? A lot of UK hip hop was like, kind of like uni or backpack, or that was the presumption. It was kind of nerdy or it was, and there were a lot of people in the UK hip hop scene that weren't that. You know what I mean? And it felt like Jump Off gave that a bit of a home because it was more, you know what I'm saying? It weren't the uni thing.
What was that time like for you though? Because I feel like at that time, YouTube was almost kind of what like TikTok is now to a generation.
Yeah.
Where like you're going to have a generation that's like, oh, like I watched this person on TikTok when I was in school. Yeah. And that's the same with me and my friends, like we'd go on YouTube and we type in battle raps and the ones that came up, especially for the UK anyway, was Jump Off. And it was, you were one of the people that was like, I'd say kind of like ahead of their time in some ways, where you was also like, I felt like you was the UK's representative in some ways. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Because you were still quite young at that time as well.
I was like 18 to 21 when I was battling, really. It was mad, yeah. So I was at Adam Deacon's flat. So like China, Michael Vu, who's now Jimmy in The Gentleman. That man gave me so many firsts and opportunities. He got me my apprenticeship at a desktop publishers. Seriously, thank you, Michael. And we were just friends from the ends in it, and they were older and cooler, and they still are older and cooler. But they've been making music for years. And we were at Adams, it was on a Friday night, and everyone was rapping, and someone said something about me in a lyric, and I got put on the spot, and then no one expected me to do this, and I rapped a lyric back. And cuss whoever said something about me. And they were like, what, you can rap? And I was like, no, like bright red in the face, let me get a stone, innit? So I'm like, let me get under the table. I'm just knocking out bits of weed them times, nothing else, like nothing, no creative bone in my body. And but it felt like something when I did it. And then so I've gone home and I've just started, because I've always listened to music so intently, and I love the music in music, but I love the words as well. So all my favorite rappers or musicians even wrote about what they sung or rapped about what they thought, felt, or observed. And so when I started freestyling, that was what I did. And big up Skinny Man as well. I remember him saying the dangerous thing about freestyling is the truth comes out. Yeah. And it's true, but I started to do that. And even till this day, I don't really like putting things on paper. I'll just walk around the studio with my rap hand saying stuff until something clicks, and I'm like, let me jump on the mic. And then often more will come out when I'm recording that take, and I'll say stuff I don't even know I'm going to say. And it took a while to find my confidence to do that, especially walking into the studio with producers that I didn't know. But like that was the beginning of it at Adam's flat. And like literally 2 weeks later, the apprenticeship I spoke about, I was at Select Typesetters with Michael. I went out to do the lunch run. It was always like a fight to try and do the lunch run because 2/2s, you got about an hour of work. And then I saw a poster on like whatever those boxes are, the telephone boxes or electrician boxes, the green things that you always see engineers at, for a thing called Lyric Pad, and it was rap battles. And I said to Michael, yo, there's this thing, let's go to it. So we went to it. It was what is now, I think, Blues Kitchen in Camden. It used to be called O-Bar. Okay. And I did my first battle and I won.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And
did you get paid? Did you make any money?
No, okay. Even when like people are like, you made 50 bags off, because there was that Jump Off thing that was like one of the biggest wins for me, but it was £50,000 of MySpace marketing, which equates to God knows what. Okay. You know what I'm saying? What
but they don't say that when you win.
I would have got my teeth fixed if I, do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that was where it started, man. And the Jump Off actually poached me from that event. I can't remember if it was Harry or Ara, because it was run by two brothers, innit? And one of them was at the event. I think it was Harry. And he came up to me and he's like, you should come to the Jump Off. And then I battled again and I lost. I was pissed. But this is Shy Stephen, which is, I have a weird relationship with the idea of being called Shy now, to the point where when people go like, who I don't even know, I've just bumped into them. They're like, Professor, I'm like, Stephen, like, i.e. my son is here, please remember yourself. And then they'll be like, Steve, you all right? And I'll you know, we're having a conversation and they're like, hi. And then my son will just look at them like, and they're like, oh, are you shy? I'm like, he's not shy. He doesn't know you. You know what I mean? Like, but I always got told I was shy because I was considered, I think. But I kind of took that being shy on. And so for me to step out, it felt a lot like stepping out on my shell to be able to do that. But I found comfort in a place that was really like incredibly stressful. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know who I'm going to battle. I don't know what beat is going to be played. Everyone in the room, once I got to a point, was on side. But even with that came the pressure of, if I make the tiniest slip, they're on me. Because Jump Off was like a zoo, bro. It was aggy.
Yeah. It wasn't like a friendly environment, because it was like, if you went there, for example, to perform, you'd bring your friends as well. So already like, and you had like different, you know, for anyone listening that might not be familiar with what the Jump Off was, you'd have dance battles as well. You'd have, I think later on they started doing like the producer battles.
Yeah,
as
where
well.
Lab was as well.
Yeah, later on I think I done one of the stand-up segments. So you do like 10 minutes. Yeah. Oh my God, so hostile. Like, because no one wanted to go there to laugh anyway. Like, I was like, people are really here for the music.
Yeah.
But laughter is not what we want at all. Do you know what I mean? So it was almost like stepping into the lion's den. And then it, like you say, it would finish with a booty shaking competition. Do you know what I'm saying? So I guess for someone like yourself, did it always feel like pressure because there was also like comparisons with like an Eminem, for example, when it came to...
Yeah, me and Estelle, the first time we bumped into each other, she was judging and Semtex as well. And Semtex has done huge things for me throughout my career. Big up, Sem, man. Proper guy. But at that time, it was just like this immediate comparison to Eminem. And I'm like, allow it. But then, and I think I said something quite rude in my next round. You know, and it's like, how can you tell me I'm copying Eminem? I'm rapping in a British accent. I'm using our words, our slang. You know what I mean? But it's like, but that's the only point of reference. And to be fair, it wasn't. They could have called me Vanilla Ice. So in truth, it was a compliment more than anything.
I'm a big fan of battle rapping anyway. Like I won't pretend to be like, I listen to this man and that person and stuff. But one thing I love doing if I'm traveling for like, I don't know, a couple of hours is like, let me chuck on a good battle rap. Do you know what I mean? Like, because there's nothing better than like, because you can't read the comments. Like if you're, you know, if your phone's on airplane mode, you downloaded it, you just got to be like, rah, let me take that back. But there's nothing better than being in business class when it's quiet and everyone's sleeping. You go, hey, ooh, hey, will that?
Bro, it's so, you know where like this, it's kind of moved on now. So it's gone, it's kind of moved on from and people still will add bits of freestyle at the front end of their written verses, but it's very thought out now. And it's just different. I don't think one is better than the other.
Yeah.
They're different strengths, right? But some of the stuff that people write is incredible.
Oh, it's crazy.
I'm like, and it's the kind of hybrid, right? Because there is an element of comedy to it. Because you don't just want to be violent. Because that gets a bit boring. You know what I mean? But like, if you're going to be violent, the metaphors have got to be crazy. I remember something about poking someone and it was just like the seatbelt won't buckle up. I was like...
that's is that Tay-Rock?
Yeah, I think so. And then there was a circle the block twice, like I'm trying to find a place to park. Oh, that stuff makes me go, kind of, bro. When I watch that stuff and I'm like, maybe one day.
Yeah. But you battled people across the pond. Like you obviously had your famous battle with Jin back in the day. What was that like for you? Because I feel like, was there a lot of pressure? Because I feel like, one, you're from the UK. Did you always feel like you was also having to rep the UK as well? Do you know what I mean? Because I guess it's different now because social media and the internet has opened things up. So it doesn't feel like, I guess, for maybe an artist now feeling like, yeah, I'm repping it, but also like people know my stuff. They've seen my stuff. Whereas I guess at that time it must have been a lot.
Yeah, there was
different.
there was no respect for it. There was none. But that kind of made, you know, I've long said low expectations are easy to exceed. And in that instance they were, because people expected nothing of me. The first rapper that I battled, forgive me, I forget his name. He, Axel, bad boy rapper, just signed a development deal to Shady, like bad boy rapper. But no one expected anything of me. So when I gave something, it was like, whoa. Oh, yeah. So I could hear whispers in the crowd. You know, like, what's this white boy doing? He's from the UK. What is he doing? Do you know what I mean? Like it was.
What year is this roughly? What are you saying, like 2009, 10?
No,
Earlier than that.
Earlier than that. Because I'm 42 now, and I was.
So this one might have been
2007. It was before I signed.
Maybe
it was just
2008.
as I signed to Mike Skinner's record label, so I was 21. So it was 21 years ago.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh my God, man!
Yeah, man. So
What
like
was
2004.
But what was that like though? Did it feel like this is it? Like, you know, you're on the biggest stage. You know, especially, you know, it's almost like a US UK.
It was the Power Summit. Like
Do you know
that
what I
was. They
mean?
were the biggest battles. There was a genuine 50,000 cash prize. Pressure. But then like it started to work. But then when I was battling Serious Jones, and they've never released the videos to these, by the way, ever.
Yeah, because you couldn't see the videos. It's not like now you can sign up.
It was all filmed. But when I was battling Serious, they stopped me mid-run and went, yeah, you've stepped over the line. What? There's no line. We're in like a lot of people wanted to see the Serious because Jin had never really been beaten on it, and Serious had beaten Jin. Yeah. So there was a lot of, and people were making side bets. There's all this stuff going on, and everyone wanted the Serious Jones and Jin final, but I beat Serious because the crowd weren't having it. They were chanting UK, and they knew I got hard done by because they watched what happened.
Yeah.
And so I beat Serious, and then when I battled Jin, one, it was like I'd already gone through two people and what had happened with Serious and all the stopping and starting and all that palaver, not to make excuses. And then I run out. I just, you know, like, and also, but it felt like Jin was saying stuff that some of what he kind of had prepped for. It was more relative to Serious than it was me.
Yeah.
But Jin's a bad boy. And I said to him afterwards, I was like, listen, if I'm going to get beat by anyone, I'm fucking happy it's you, bro. Like, I gave him his props, you know what I mean? And he's like, don't say that. I'm like, nah, man. Like, seriously, I grew on you watching 106 and Park. Like, you were the guy. You and Poster Boy were the guys.
Yeah.
I'm a fan, bro. Like, I don't, and you see it in how I've never charged for a feature. I'm one of the only people, I swear, online that still reposts other people's music. Like, I've never been threatened in that way. Like, I love the culture. I love the music. I love, you know, I'm a fan first before anything else. And it sucked. I didn't want to lose, especially not on a world stage. But you know, I got there and I came second. And
but also, bro, like some of those names you're saying, do you know what I mean? It's like Serious Jones, Jin, like they're people that I would watch on YouTube back in the day and be like, oh, and the fact that like to have your name spoken about in those conversations, do you know what I mean? And this is before like your music career had even taken off.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It happened the other way around for me. So there was like, there's long been this idea that battle rappers can't make music. So that was another hurdle for me to get over as well. But the wicked thing was I didn't have to, like, I weren't running after DJs. DJs were coming and judging the jump off and saying to me, where's your music? Yeah. And so, excuse me, when I came out with music, I had a place to go and get it played. And then Mike Skinner saw me battle at Brixton Academy. You see my face light up. Yeah. He saw me battle at Brixton Academy at the B-Boy Championships. Jump Off hosted a battle there, which was, again, I'd never seen, you know, there's like, what, 6,000 people there them times. It was a high cap in it. And I never knew he was in the crowd. And then I get a message from Harry or Arrow saying, Mike Skinner was in attendance and he wants you to battle on every stop of his 13 rounds tour, which was when he was doing arenas. Yeah. So I then went and battled every stop of that tour and got to see behind the curtain. I met Kane, he was, and Getz was on the tour with him as well. And they were supporting. And it was like, I got to see behind the curtain and I was like, this is viable. You know what I'm saying? This is a viable career option. I can actually, there is something here if I just keep going. And then after that, had a conversation with Mike. I'll never forget because he booked me at Addison Lee and I've come down from the same desktop publishers to get in a car and I've got in at Addison Lee and the guys looked at me and I've gone, what's your name? I was like, Stephen. He went, no, I'm waiting for a professor. I went, oh, Professor Green. He went, what? And I went, yeah. I was just like, why did you book it under Professor Green? Like, and then I went to meet him at some posh restaurant near Tower Bridge, and he was wearing his did he have a 2 or a 3 finger ring? Just looking like the pop star he was, man, like the huge success that he was. Yeah. And he's just so smart. I'm always in awe. Whenever I talk to him, I try and make sure I do more listening than talking. He's so he just, the way he sees things, his perspective on life is super interesting, and he's, you know, at a point, I remember he signed me, so I signed to his record label, and he said, "You're hanging around with the wrong people." I was partying too much and, you know, experimenting with that side of things. And I just listened because I have this thing, and I was talking outside about it. If someone says something in a way that clicks with me, it's immediately integrated. Like when I go to therapy, if my therapist articulates something, he puts all the pieces of something that I've got all the pieces of but can't put together and says it back to me, it is my behaviors change immediately.
You can't unhear
but
it.
until that point, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I've got all the pieces, I can discuss them, I can talk a good game, but my behaviors aren't changing. And when he said that, I literally did that. And it was like I took a look at a projection of all that I've been doing. And I went, yeah, you're right. I even saw the end of a relationship because there was stupidness that was carrying on that I was like, I can't be a part of that anymore. And I got serious about it. And then what was annoying was, you know, Napster, LimeWire had really impacted the music industry.
Yeah.
And Warner withdrew all the financing to all of their subsidiaries by like 2, one of which was 679. But Mike lost financing to his record label. So I never got my album out with him. But if you look at what he did, like he signed myself, Example, the Mitchell brothers, and myself, an Example, have gone on to do really well. So as an A&R, he's brilliant. You know, and I know he felt a level of, we've spoken about it, I hope he wouldn't mind me saying this, but he felt a level of like, I didn't get it to where I wanted to, so therefore it wasn't a success. But I'm like, bro, and I've said this to him, you changed my life. You showed me behind the curtain. That taught me that it was viable. Like I just have to keep going. And even when people around me stop making music, bro, what you doing, man? You're just going to be a 2-bob shotter for the rest of your life. You can't keep, you know, I'd left the desktop publisher a long time before that and wasn't doing anything apart from music that really, you know, should be celebrated.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And like everyone's going, what are you doing? You've got to find something else to do. You're smarter than this. You're better than this. And I'm like, I don't know if it's blind stupidity or blind faith. It's probably a good mix of the two, but I was just like, music. I didn't sell a record till I was 28. That's crazy.
And that's so when you got signed, how old was you?
27.
27?
Yeah.
And then you done, so the battle rap stuff was when like, you was like, what, 21?
Yeah,
2021?
18 to 21.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you went like almost...
I got signed at 21 by Mike, but then that went on
8 to 9 years, basically.
Yeah.
So like, when you're at that stage of when you get signed and you're making a bit of money and you're partying and stuff, because you spoke about going off the rails and stuff like that. How easy is that for an artist? Because I think sometimes it's easy to judge on the outside of like, oh, well, this is happening, that's happening. But do you think there's something at play with being so young and having so much money? Does that make sense? Or whether it's so success or whether it's having, I don't know, a team, an entourage.
Or accessibility.
Do you know what I mean?
Those things are accessible anyway, innit? And like, but I kind of had a period of experimentation because you didn't do anything apart from smoke weed, which was strangely socially acceptable. Anything else, if you'd done anything other than weed, you were a crackhead, right? Even though a lot of the people that would have used to say that to me ended up being actual, you know what I'm saying? And then, so I was with a girl who was older than me by like 4.5 years. And I remember she come home one night, we were living together and she'd done Mandy. And I think I might have called her a crackhead. But then Eminem was rapping about pills. She's like, you know, it's honestly, you know, it's not something that takes over your life. You just do it here and there and it's really fun. And then I tried a pill. I was like, oh my God, everyone should do this. Why doesn't everyone do this? The world is a better place. It's not, it just feels like it for a moment. And therein lies the issue. I think, you know, there was a period later on then, I didn't do drugs for a long time after that. But then, you know, in my 30s, things changed. And I think the problem is that I had these rules that I never abided by, to my point about like some things just being cerebral, being able to talk a good game. And one of them was to enhance, but never to escape. But inevitably, when you do things that make you, they auto state. Right? And there's many things that you can do to alter your state. You can get a good night's sleep. You can eat better food. You can go to the gym. You can drink alcohol. You can smoke a cigarette. You can have a coffee. All of these things alter your state. You can do a breathing exercise, which is wild, by the way. That's better than any drug I've ever done. But they alter your state. And so if there are feelings or there is, and for me, I'm hyper aware of like internally of things happening in my body, and I've been in a lot of pain throughout my life. I was born with an issue in my digestive tract, but I think a lot of it is relating to being autistic and ADHD and that being unmanaged and, well, undiagnosed and therefore unmanaged. And there was also a lot that happened really early on in my life that made me really, and I understand this now, but only through really educating myself by way of reading, life experience, and being open and therapy. But I'm hypervigilant. And I think when you grow up in an environment where you have to be, but it's not just about when you leave the house, it's also at home because there's conflict taking place.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and then like I'm not brought up by my dad or my mum. My mum's there more consistently, but I've got more of a bond with my dad, albeit he's not there. And I woke up with a question on that the other day. And I was just like, why has this come to me now? And I was like, was he easier to love because he wasn't around? Was it a picture I painted of him? Do you know what I'm saying? Did that make it easier? Yeah. But all of that falls into the same box of, I guess, trauma. If it was, you know, people call everything trauma nowadays. It's not always traumatic. But you've got that stuff, and then you take something that aids you enjoying where you are in that moment, but it's also absolving you momentarily of all that other stuff. Yeah. And therein lies the problem, right? You're like, oh, cool. Well, you find your way back to it because it's getting you away from the significant pain that is already there.
And I guess it must feel like at the time, like within your body and your mind is an imbalance. But then when you're, I guess, like for your experience of when you take it, it feels like, oh, I'm now balanced out. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But then
what it does afterwards is like and it goes later. The gap just starts getting bigger, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you feel like now when you meet artists who are a lot younger than you, that you have, would you ever feel like you want to be the Mike Skinner to them that he was to you in some ways? Because I ask, because for someone to say you're hanging around with the wrong crowd, that's someone who cares about you. And that's someone that can see it because they've been through it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
or going through it.
Yeah, but also I feel like that's always someone who's, you know, and you know what, it's interesting because people say, oh, you know, in this world, in this industry and da-da-da. But like, it takes a lot for someone to come out of their comfort zone to tell you some advice that can change your life. And then you just leave it with that person because then you don't want to be a person to be like, oh, chill out, Mike, man. I'm just trying to enjoy the vibes, bro. Why do you know what I mean? Why you putting a damper on it, bro? Like, I'm young, I'm making money, I'm successful. But then the last thing you want is to then be that older person.
I needed him to come back and tell me that when I was actually making money.
Yeah.
Where were you then, Mike?
Hey, bro. Hey, them taxes are coming in, bro. So like you've also like entered the documentary space. Yeah. And like you made some really amazing documentaries about like suicide and addiction. What pushed you what kind of pushed you like to kind of make stuff centered around that, especially in that doc space, because like docs are hard. I think they look good in a sense of, wow, I've watched this in an hour. And
they don't know about the 3 months.
Bro, sometimes 6 years, 2 years, and of what you had to go through. And also like the people that you meet, some people that don't even make it to the finished doc. Yeah. Because of like, it's like, oh, look, unfortunately we couldn't put that bit in, or that person didn't want that bit in, or they've changed, or they passed away. We don't know. But what made you kind of put yourself in front of the camera to tell, you know, these stories?
Naivety. Like I read all about it, and there was a feeling around it before it came out, but you wouldn't have expected a song about someone's dad's suicide. And then what happened afterwards with his widow and her selling a story and saying whatnot, becoming a number one, let alone like a number one for 2 weeks and the biggest selling solo single of that year. It was mad. But it meant that every time I was having a conversation about that song, essentially what I was doing was opening the floor to the conversation around men's mental health. And I didn't do that with any, like, it wasn't strategic, it wasn't considered, it was naive. But what speaking about that over and over done, not in a disingenuous way, but it gave me distance between me and what happened. And you wouldn't think that to be the case, given that it's more prominent because I'm talking about it all the time. But it taught me a lesson in that talking about these things gives them less power over you. There's still moments when I'll cry my eyes out, bro. Like it will just hit me from the side, but I'm not as unexpecting of it nowadays. You know what I'm saying? But I can, for the most part. And in that situation, even at that time, I was able to talk about it in a way that I could somewhat disconnect from the suffering that took place to talk about the song. It gave me there was a step between me and the suicide. You know what I'm saying? Not my dad's suicide, sorry. So like I was talking about the song, not the suicide, if that makes sense. But it allowed me to start a conversation. So then I did a radio documentary with Dr. Aaron Baddock, who's now my therapist. He wasn't there and he didn't have any bloody room for years. And I really fucking needed it, Aaron. And with a suicide survivor for Radio 1, and then was approached with the idea of doing a documentary that was meant to be a broader look at why men take their own lives at such a scary rate. You know, it's still the biggest killer of under 35s, and 3 out of 4, for lack of a better term, successful suicides are male. So it's still a real issue. But it was meant to be a broader look at that. And then halfway through, I was called into the BBC and they said, look, the narrative or the thread that makes sense here is you talking about or taking a look at as to why your dad might have taken his own life. And in that moment, I got uncomfortable and Victoria's come out the pram, baby too. And I was like, I know it sounds silly, but I was like, I don't want gigs to see me on TV crying. I know that's, it's stupid, no, but like it really, do you know what I'm saying? And then I went to bed and I woke up and I was just like, that's why it needs to happen. Because that's the issue. No one wants to really show the truth of this. Yeah. And I made the documentary and it was really kind of like bittersweet in that like there was such a huge response, and all the things that I was worried about, I didn't need to worry about, because the very people that I was worried about seeing me like that were the people that sent messages of support, but not just messages of support, messages of like, yo, I go through this or I go through that. All of a sudden, everyone's just, and it's because there was permission. Yeah. Because I've spoken about it now. So they've seen me talk about it, they can now talk about it. And that's what happens in friendship circles. Jordan Stevens made me aware of this. Everyone's just waiting for permission. Yeah. You'll sit at a table with your pals and you'll talk about the time you got your heart broken, and someone will go, oh my God, bro, I feel like my heart's been broken now. And they would have just sat there with that. Unless someone gave them permission by way of discussing something first. And so the response to it was phenomenal, but sadly the response was what it was because so many people suffer. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was how I found my way into documentaries. And then after that it was, I know it takes me a long time to get to the point sometimes. I promise you I'll try to answer your questions.
We're here, we got the time, don't worry, man.
And then after that the question was, what are the other social issues that are important to you and that you would want to look into? And so we looked at childhood poverty, hidden homeless. And it was crazy because like, you know, I remember whole families being in bedsits when I was a kid of friends that I hung out with. And that was so normal, but like it was so normal. Yeah. What I mean? But then they would eventually be housed. It's not like that anymore. It ain't like that anymore. And to get out of that situation is, you know, it just, to me, still looks like it's of construct, not coincidence. You know what I'm saying? It's by design. Yeah.
Because I think if you grow up in like on an estate, it was very normal to have 6 people in a 2-bed house.
Yeah, that was like, nearly me. We were 6 in a 3-bed.
Yeah, that was very normal to have like, the living room was not a living room, it was someone's bedroom.
No, my nan slept, my great-grandmother slept in it.
Yeah. Everyone would normalize that. And it's interesting, I feel like when you grow up, and I went to a primary school that had, I guess, some kids you didn't know though until you got older, but you're like, oh right, these that are living all right. Like, don't get me wrong, they were old money rich. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, an old money rich is not what it looks like to the naked eye. It's just until you go to their house. And I think I realized that where I'd go to a friend's house and I'm talking like, you know, Bellenden in Peckham?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I had a friend who lived there and I went to his house. Yeah, they call them play dates now, whatever, innit? Yeah. He'd be like, oh, I'm going to go and play at his house. And I was like, right, like, so I was like, oh, like, I think we'd gone like, so we'd gone in his house and we've gone, and I was like, oh, like, who lives downstairs, basically, innit? Yeah. And he's like, no, this is our house. And it's until I got older, I was like, them man owned the whole house.
Yeah, stairs.
The whole townhouse.
Yeah.
I said, wow, in the 90s.
Yeah.
All right, okay, it makes sense now. But I think it's until like I got older, then I started to realize I'm like, oh, raw. Like, I just thought we was all in the same boat because we all went to a school that was round the corner from where I lived, but everyone was kind of living, different lives essentially.
Do you not feel though like we were still a little bit closer?
There was though.
Now,
yeah.
now it feels like there's
now
way
the wealth
more.
gap
It feels
is
like
insane.
it feels like
the
the
wealth gap
disparities.
is
Like there's an Aesop on Broadway now, and I know Broadway was kind of like, albeit E8 was one of the hardest parts of still is one of the hardest parts of Hackney. You know what I'm saying? But like rougher, whatever. But like it was the first part that was really gentrified, apart from maybe Church Street, but that's N16, isn't it? But like, if there's an Aesop, you're like £40 ham wash.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do with that as a kid growing up in the flats there? Apart from nothing. Yeah. Apart from walk down and go, none of this is for me.
They remind me of shops where, like, when you was younger and you're like, you wouldn't go into those shops, but you're like, oh, right, like, wonder what's in there. And it's until you get older and you might make a little money for yourself. And it's almost like a bit of trauma where you're like, I feel like I now need to buy something from that shop, because when I was younger, I would walk past it every day and I never got to, now I feel like this is luxury now. Because, bro, I got Aesop in my house.
Yeah, I like a nice ham wash.
I'll be honest.
Silly things we spend money on,
bro, I can't lie. The reason why I got it is because I was going to these, like, you go to these TV meetings and stuff, development meetings. You go to the bathroom.
It smells nice.
Brother, I said, what's this? And bearing in mind, before that, I've only just walked past the shop. If I've seen like a Westfoot, I said, what's this? I said, yeah. I'm like, and it's like, it's one of those ones where like, it's after you've gone toilet, you're sitting there, you go, yeah.
And you touch,
Brother, what the fuck is
this? It nice,
bro? I think the way I got introduced to Aesop was, the poo drops, about the doo-doo drops.
Yep. All right, of course
bro. What do you mean, no Febreze? When I knew you could get drops for the doo-doo, I said, listen, I need to get this,
I might need to go back and stock up. I feel like I went through the period of I need to buy this to then go in now.
I've done that. I did do that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, like that's the stupid stuff I spend my money. Like, I've spent my money on stupid stuff before.
Yeah.
Going out, nonsense, do you know what I mean? Like paying for everyone's meal.
Yes.
Because it feels cool. Especially when the man comes with it, okay, man, it's all right. I'll grab this, innit? But almost like they're the things I look back and I'm just like, I didn't even have to. Like, I just offered. And I was with people that could have paid for their meal. It wasn't even like, it's different when I've been with my friends because they're my day ones. Like, but other times
you never want someone
like,
to feel uncomfortable, and you also want to be in those places with the same people that you were with elsewhere.
Yeah. Whereas I think now, weirdly, like, I will buy the poo drops because there's a part of me that's like, do you know what?
I do like them.
I don't mind buying this £40 thing because I'll take it on holiday with me or whatever. And I'd rather spend the £40 doo-doo drops or the nice little hand wash than go out in the club and be like, let me get 5 more bottles because the other table got free. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but then I think like the doc space though is like, it's so intriguing because I've been fortunate enough to understand the world and how it all works. How is it for you as being like a musician first in that space? Do you feel like it's harder because you're like, oh, like people know me as a musician, are you going to take me as serious? As opposed to, like someone who's always, if they've always been in that space of like a investigative journalist or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? I never used to believe in imposter syndrome. And because I never really, those thoughts, truthfully, never crossed my mind. And the films ended up in some wicked spaces. The last film that I did for Channel 4 with Swan Films was Grierson nominated, and it got a special mention, which actually just felt like a kick in the bollocks because we didn't win the award. We just got mentioned, especially because we were so close to winning the award, but we never won it. Who was it with?
What award show was it?
The Grierson Awards.
Ah, okay.
And so I'm in all these spaces where I don't really understand.
I've had one of those
maybe
at Broadcast Awards. Got a table, everything.
Yeah.
Honourable mention. Brother,
that's it,
man.
Honourable mention.
Come on, man. We're not here for this, man. I want to win, man.
No. Oh, bro. But those thoughts never really crossed my mind. And so to find myself in all of those places and be next to people who, that's their career, it was later, weirdly, I started to feel a little bit more like conscious of everything. And it was super unhelpful because I was second guessing stuff, but there was so much else going on in my life. I think that was feeding into the second guessing of everything. And like, imagine I got to a point where So like Virgin, when I signed them, and I don't say any of this to complain, right? Because genuinely, it was one of the most life-changing moments, me signing to Virgin, albeit that was me in 2 record deals at the same time, and it cost me 30p to earn £1. That's another story. But no management out now. But I got out of that situation and that was fine. But then I was with Virgin and I was in NRI, so non-recoupable income. So they're taking 82% of recordings. I'm paying back 50% of everything spent out of my 18%. So I'm still unrecouped, but I've paid them over 800 grand in NRI, which was the 25% of all other earnings. Now, if I was getting that other 75%, that's all well and good, right? But I wasn't, because 20% goes to management, 10% goes to agent. I've got to pay band, catering, tour bus, lighting, production, sound, hotels, all this stuff, right? But I still made money, bro. Like it's still better than what was going on before. But it was tough. There was an opportunity for me to take a step back for a second, but get out of the deal that I was in. And so I did that. Was that the right thing to do? I don't know. It feels like that begun a period of like, I signed to Sony and then things weren't great there. I lost a few years to some stuff that went on. But like, it just got difficult. And all of that was going on at a time where I was like, wow, I'm established. How has this happened? Do you know what I mean? And then that's where like I got into a place, sorry, that's where I was trying to get to. I got to a place of going, I don't want to make another Read All About It. I just want to rap my ass off. But I rap my ass off on Read All About It. Do you know what I'm saying? But I was just like, I felt like people felt so, it was so predictable for me to come out with another big hook. But I like writing big hooks. I like, you know what I'm saying?
Did it feel like
on Seal? Like,
did it feel like, because what you're saying really resonates in a sense of like, you're spinning this one plate and you're like, this is the plate that people want in it.
Yeah.
This plate is a different plate. I ain't really spun and people like this stuff. But hang on a minute. Like, this one is wobbling a bit too much, man. Like, this is the one that's got me here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In some ways. Weird analogy to use, but I only use it in the sense of like, I relate to it from a standpoint of like, oh, like, if I've done TV, then this should be the vehicle. So when the show might not, you know, and that's part of the business that, okay, this is a great show, but we're not going to commission it for the next year. You're like, that's fine, that's okay. Like, I'm okay with that. But then when you're like, okay, cool. Like, well, why is that show not, if that's doing the numbers, it's not, I don't really get it then. Do you know what I mean? I get the business of it, but I don't get your business of it. It feels like it's not making sense. Do you know what I mean?
But then I felt like it wasn't making sense to me at a point, and I just sort of, and then COVID hit and I just took a step back. My partner fell pregnant. We had a quite high risk pregnancy. There was, sadly, her father was taken ill. We had our baby. Fortunately, he arrived fine. But then things were fractious between us, and you're still stepping out into the public and having to maintain. And that's where, like, you know what I was saying about, I never used to believe in imposter syndrome, but now I feel fake because I can't actually, I'm so renowned for telling the truth, but I don't want to speak to what's actually happening because I can't, I'm not coping. And then I find my way to doing things to cope, which was definitely not coping. They were escape decisions, but they were harmful. They were harmful to me. They were harmful to my family. They caused rupture. They weren't the only thing that caused rupture, but I'm not going to sit here and dog anyone else. I'm going to sit here and put my hands up to my part. And the only thing I ever wanted to be really was, God, it's like a LL Cool J lyric, like when he said, all I ever wanted was a father. All I ever wanted to be was a father, to kind of make amends for what my dad did. But that's not a reason for being a father, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's actually, that's selfish, because your job as a father is to facilitate the healthy growth and development of what's in front of you. And every time it's so mad, bro. Like, you think you've dealt with shit and then you step into another part of life and you realize you've got to deal with it all over again from a different perspective. And like, that was where imposter syndrome crept in for me, because I'm like, am I a rapper? Am I a documentary maker? Am I a dad? Am I a partner? Am I any good at any of this? I'm like, wow, insecurity.
And I guess
from
as
someone
well,
that's just been so tunnel visioned. You know what I'm saying? To my point about not selling a record till I was 28, that took all kinds of confidence I wasn't even aware of having, because I had been called the shy kid and I became that. But the truth was I was really confident in what I wanted to do and I knew what I wanted to do. And then all of a sudden I didn't, and I didn't know how. And I'm like, there's so many strands to all of this. And I don't feel like I've got support anywhere because I've got no elders to go to. I've got no friends that I can go to when I have, you know, financial issues or any. So like all of this is happening it's all happening at once.
It's like a pressure cooker, but did it also feel like more pressure because you've essentially got to a place of success where you've been able to get everything you've wanted? So I guess it's different when...
How dare you be unhappy?
Yeah, because when you're on the come up and it's like, oh, I've got this going on, but there is some light at the end of the tunnel because you're like, okay, cool, I need to knuckle down because I need to get to this part. You know, the goal might just be like, I need to save up and just get a car or whatever. Yeah. Whereas I guess it must be different in some ways because you're like, bro, I've kind of got everything I ever wanted and some. I'm able to do the things that I love to do, but can I also out loud say that I'm upset or I'm depressed or I'm anxious or I'm unhappy? Because it's hard coming from a place where you are in the public eye because there's gonna be someone out there that's just like, bro, you're all right, bro.
Yeah.
Listen, I'd swap. Yeah. And you're like, I don't think you would.
It's important to, do you know what? It's all relative, right? So like, and I always say this when someone's like, no, I can't be upset because, you know, it's so-and-so's had it worse or you've had it worse, so I can't. I'm like, no, you can. Because if the worst thing that's ever happened to you is you stepped on that plug, that's pain as you know it. You know what I'm saying? That's a terrible analogy, forgive me. Yeah. But it's like, that's as bad as you know pain. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
It still hurts.
So it still hurts. So let's deal with that from that perspective instead of you trying to pass it off as it can't affect, because it is affecting you. You know what I'm saying? I'm good at beating myself up. Someone said to me once, it was probably in therapy, like, if someone else spoke to you how you talk to yourself, what would happen? And I was like, oh. And I really then began to realize that my internal monologue was super negative. And I was like, well, where did that voice come from? Where did, you know, and you start to unpick all that and it unravels and you realize that it's not even really your voice. It's just stuff you've taken on. And it's why it's so dangerous. I don't really believe in semantics. I think words are really powerful and I should, right? Because that's been my medium. Yeah, man. But like, what, you know, to my point about becoming the shy kid, taking that on and being so, you know, steadfast on when people try and call my son shy because they're meeting him for the first time and he doesn't want to say hello. He's not shy. You know, it's like, you can become those things. So I got in trouble a lot when I was a kid because I wouldn't go to school. When I got to school, if I ever got in trouble, I would laugh or smile. If you told me someone died now, I might go, oh, is it? And it's not because I'm happy, it's because I'm trying to regulate. I never knew this as a kid and none of my teachers did either. But it was, you know, and I was always tapping and I'd be distracted, but I'd get my work done in a second. Yeah. So the teachers couldn't get their head around it. You're like, how can he be so bright? So fucking stupid. Do you know what I mean? Why can't he just put his clothes on and come to school? Bro, when I tell you putting my uniform on was the hardest thing in the world.
How important has therapy been to you? Because I go to therapy and therapy is definitely been the one thing that's majorly changed my life for this job as well. Yeah. Because that's kind of, it was almost like where I was in life and then going to therapy, it came right at the best part of where I needed it. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I needed this to happen. And therapy for me is always something where, I like talking about it to people, but also being conscious that I don't want to feel like I'm not over preaching it to people and say, you gotta go. And people are like, I hear that, bro, but gotta pay the bills, man. I'd love to sit down with someone for an hour and tell them how I feel, but just don't have that capability.
It's so hard to access, way more difficult than it.
Massively, man. I've had friends reach out to me being like, where did you find your therapist? And I found my therapist by just through big up Leon McKenzie.
Yeah, man, big up Leon.
He reached out, I reached out to him and that's how I have my therapist now, that's the person that I've been with for just over 10 years now. But what other things have you done to help you? Because I think there's one thing of going to therapy, but I always say therapy starts when you leave the session.
Yeah, man.
Because it's like
you pass your driving test.
Yeah, it's like
driving starts when you pass your test.
It's like when you go therapy, you're like, yeah, this is great. And I'm telling you this, and I've got it on my mind, and then as soon as it's done, I'm in a car. I'm like, yeah, I need to do the thing now. I need to do the thing, man. But even like with therapy, like, well, like I'll say to my therapist, I was like, I can't make that day. Can I cancel it? Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. But you still get billed for it.
Yeah.
And then that's when you go, right, like, forward bridges. You know? Forward bridges, you know. You got this.
No, none of that. All right. None of that. You might catch one blind, but there's never two.
It's like, right, well, that invoice came in quick, right?
Yeah.
So like, no? All right, cool, man. But I always say therapy starts, but I know you do other stuff. Like, for example, the ice baths. Now,
horrible.
I used to see you like a lot with the ice baths. So I'd see you do. I never done one until like probably last year.
Yeah.
I got myself an ice bath in it. I was going through it. There's one point probably last year, it was fight or flight for me in it. So I was trying everything in it. But I tried the ice bath. I say ice, I just done my own cold water first.
Yeah.
And one thing I'd say, is like, bro, it's real.
Bro, I'm only laughing like that because, I know you know it, innit? You can't.
Bro, that ice stuff is not a joke, you know?
It's violent.
Bro.
It's so violent, man.
So when I've done it, because I've read about it and it's talking about how, you know, your body does this and it's great. Because I'm thinking of it from like a point of like gym and recovery. Bro, listen, bruv. That first one I ever done, I said, because I kept thinking of you, because I know you properly do, you got like the whole proper setup and stuff, innit?
The brass monkey.
Yeah. I was like, because I had some plastic thing I got from Amazon with some inflatable joint in it. Yeah. And even then I was like,
it don't matter, bro. It needs to an end.
It wasn't work. It was to the point where I was like, how is he doing it? Because I know you, like, you properly doing it.
Yeah.
But bro, I think for a week, I said, brother, this is not funny. You know? No. It was great after a while once you're in there. Yeah. Because they always say once you give it like a couple seconds and you're in there, then boom, like.
Always get in on an exhale.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always
real stuff, you know?
3 times and on the third time,
because your body goes into a shock, like a mad shock.
You gasp. And that's the important part of it because your body, why would you want to do this? Your body predicts hypothermia. Yeah. So all the blood is forced to your organs. So what that does, you have involuntary muscles around all of the tiny capillaries that aren't otherwise exercised in your cardiovascular system. So it forces all the blood to your organs, which flushes your limbs first of blood. So that's why it feels like cramp. It's not cramp.
Yeah.
But you're not used to using those muscles because you can't flex them. There's no way, it's only cold and heat. Heat dilates and cold constricts. It's why contrast therapy is so good. But whatever you find your way to the cold water for, you're getting all the other benefits. You're getting the increase of dopamine, norepinephrine, noradrenaline, and it's happening naturally and it's over a sustained period. And cumulatively, it's not something that ever loses its benefits. Like most things, you think about most medication, you have to start taking more because it starts doing less. It's not like that. So it will reduce localized inflammation, but it is also improving your mental health. It's also improving your resilience. It's also growing brown fat. If you do 11 minutes of it a week, not in one go. Don't get in an ice bath for 11 minutes, get hypothermia and blame me. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah, because you're only meant to be there for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and you don't need to do it. So I don't do it as cold as I used to. I got ill last September, October. I think it was a nasty flu, whatever you want to call it. It was horrible. And then for weeks after, I just felt like rubbish. I wear a Whoop in it. And so it tells me what's going on. I can't hide from that and it keeps me honest. But my resting heart rate was still up by like 20 BPM. And I try and get back in the ice bath and I just feel like rubbish for hours afterwards. And so I just left it alone for 2 months.
Because when you first do the ice bath, bro, I felt amazing, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, raw, bro, I've never had more energy.
Yep.
I've been like, because obviously when you first come out, then your body starts to warm up again.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I think I was cheating because I was doing mine summertime. So like, after I come out, like, it's sunny outside, the grass is warm and that. I'm like,
it boosts testosterone if you exercise afterwards. So you should pre-cool exercise. You should do it before exercise because if you do it afterwards, it will blunt muscle growth. It's great if you're doing cardio or you're working out twice a day. But if you're trying to grow muscle, you shouldn't do it within 6 hours of exercising.
So I was always doing it afterwards.
But then it would have improved but then I think over time, if you're able to get back in the gym the next day versus walking around all stiff, then it's still a benefit.
Yeah. So when you start like where you are now in your career now, and you start looking at things like, you know, being in a documentary space or doing more music, being, you know, very vocal about things like mental health, how do you start to like summarize what, you know, you want to start doing as you get, you know, older in some ways? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how do you start painting some of that picture in some ways?
I think, so for me, I've learned some of the most important lessons by way of being an applied parent and having that time with my kid. One of which was, I'm looking at my son having a hard time. Most people would call that a tantrum. And I twigged, right? There was a moment, and so much can happen in my head in very short time sometimes. And I joined the dot that I hadn't made sense of. When I finished the documentary, Suicide and Me, my kind of resolve, or the point that I got to, my understanding of the difference between someone that will or won't take their own life is, or men who will or won't take their own life, is the ability, it comes down to the ability to tolerate how you feel at any given time. And I didn't realize that I said that, understood it cerebrally, but didn't integrate it, and therefore never learned to sit with my feelings. And I learned in that moment, looking at my son losing his shit, that if I lose my shit, what I'm doing is modeling behavior that shows him that his feelings are never going to be tolerable.
Yeah, of course.
So he's never going to grow up to tolerate his feelings like most men. And I went, shit, I said that all them years ago, and I don't know how to sit with my own feelings, let alone ones that are prompted by what I'm watching happen. I've just been walking around acting them out. So I put a lot of work into really sitting and to start to make a conscious decision, and it has to be conscious at first. It's effort, especially to change the habit of literally a lifetime. Yeah, you know, being reactive, which I've been. Yeah. So I started to change that, and you know, I don't get me wrong. Things can happen, right? You get offset, your routine gets thrown off, you get a few bad nights sleep, you're not well, you get a bad email, and then there's a time when you still react. But generally, and you know, you're saying about the work starts when you leave therapy, it does, because you know that moment where you're in a situation where you normally respond one way, you respond differently, you walk away, and then you go, I didn't have to think about that. It happened subconsciously. My reaction was not to react in that moment. I've reflected. Or I've left to reflect and then can respond. Yeah. And so how do I move into, I guess, what I call it authentic adulthood? For me, it's trying to learn more of those lessons. And it's quite selfish, but it's working on myself, because that's the only way that I can improve anything for anyone else. And in doing that is how do I, because I'll never be someone who preaches. Far from me to, it was nearly a Skinny Man lyric. What is his lyric? Far from me to give man advice, but trust me, I won't. Like that. But it's that. I can't, my life's been a mess. My life still is a mess in places. I'd love to make a documentary on finances, because I don't know my head from my ass. There was no skills around money management.
No, I don't think, if you growing up, listen, if you grew
there was no money to manage.
Bro, there wasn't. Yeah,
I'd love to make a documentary on that, actually, because there's a lot that isn't taught. And again, I think it's by design, it's of construct, it's not by coincidence, because it doesn't serve everyone for everyone to know how to achieve certain things and then to be able to manage those things once they've achieved them. But really, it's working on myself and then working out how I can use the work that I'm doing personally to aid others in a way that I have similarly throughout my journey, I guess. And it's only been by way of talking to those things and being honest about them, from a place now where I feel like I can be more honest than I ever was. Because I don't know, do you ever feel like it's just all a fucking lie? Like everything, like the roads are a lie, TV's a lie, music's a lie. Everyone's running around.
Though? I feel like
either doing what they're told or what they feel they have to.
But also, I feel like the longer you're in this world for, which is this world, and I don't mean this world as like entertainment or whatever. I mean as in this
world,
actual world, and you get older, and the things that you were protected from as a child and also as a teenager in your 20s, you then be like, oh, bro, hang on. So I thought that was that because of that. And then it's like, oh my God, all those things that were there to protect you as you get older, you start realizing because you see it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You see it in the forefront.
You actually see it.
You know, like where like sometimes you might have family members and they haven't spoken for years, and you always got protected through it. And it was just like, yeah, they don't talk because of that. And until you got older, and then you realize you're like, oh, I'm like one conversation away from me never speaking to one of my family members ever again. And then I will then pass that same conversation down because it all has to be about protecting, you know, your siblings, your children or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So they don't have to worry about, oh, why does that thing happen? And I think it's the same thing, but then, like you say, maybe in the music business or maybe in TV. And then as you get into TV and you're like, oh, I see why that happens now. Fair enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess it's just having the capabilities to be like, okay, I'm going to throw myself into the situation or I'm just not. And both can benefit me and hinder me at the same time, I think. And I use that for my experience with someone that got into television when I was like probably 30 and I was like, right, this is a vibe and everything else. And it's not to say it was like all a lie, but you're like, oh, okay, I understand why this show goes on at 11 and that show goes on at 8. I understand why this might get cut here and there's something over there. But I think the beautiful thing is knowing that once you see that, because some people don't, some people never see it. Some people are just like, yeah, man, this is how it is. And you're like, I never want to be that person. Do you know what I mean? I'd always want to be the person where I'm like,
saying ignorance is bliss though, isn't it?
Yeah. I always want to make sure I know what's going on in some capacity to be like, yeah, like I know what's going on here. That is how it is, rather than being blind to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess maybe I put it, I feel like when I say it's all a lie, I'm just like, and not even that like things have been falsified or I'm fake or any of that. I'm just like, I've just been doing my whole life. Just doing, must do, need to do, want to do. And then you get to a point where you're like, all right. And you know, again, to go back to the imposter syndrome thing, and this is like, who am I? Am I the rapper? Am I the dad? Am I the documentary maker? Because the rapper and the documentary maker are sometimes at odds because he's a leery little shit, but he's a really thoughtful, considered person who cries and tells men it's okay to be in their feelings, but must remain resilient. Always an important part. But do you know what I mean?
No,
and I'm
100%.
I think this is the age thing as well, though, because I wouldn't have needed to consider any of this stuff before.
But I think it's a good thing to have that self-awareness, because then it allows you to be like, okay, cool, this is what I'm going for and this is what I leave behind.
Yeah.
And I know why I'm leaving it behind, but I know why I'm going for that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And honestly, bro, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the pod. I feel like we could be chatting here for hours, bro. Like, I don't smoke here, but if I did, we'd be running around now.
Hey, that's one thing I can't do anymore, you know.
I don't smoke, but I was like, hey, man. But honestly, bro, it's been such a pleasure, man.
No,
like to have you on my pod. Also, like, I grew up watching your stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, so like, it's a bit of a full circle moment in some ways. So like, to sit down and properly speak to you rather than, what are you saying, bro? You're right.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's the only other time I'm able to connect. Do you know what I mean?
Do you find it mad though that like I don't have many of these conversations in my personal life? So like, when I got a message about doing a podcast, I was like, absolutely. I'm excited by it. But if my brethren texts me and says, can we sit down and talk? Why is that scary?
I think though, you know,
there's cameras, it's recorded. Everyone's going to be privy to what we've said.
I think that's almost the beauty of it. It was like, there's always a comfort in speaking to essentially like a stranger.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's times I've had conversations with someone on like a bus or whatever, and they're telling me, yeah, this is going on. And I start telling them what's going on. I'm like, oh, right, boy. I need to call up one of the guys, bro. Like, I'll just sat chat with this guy for 30 minutes. Yeah. And I know his whole life. But no, man, it's been a proper pleasure to have you on the pod. I feel like, you know, the work that you do, you know, things like mental health is so important. I can't imagine how many, you know, young men you've helped, and young women as well, to understand like what is going on sometimes in our heads a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is stuff that, you know, as much as we get to, you know, do some cool stuff and whatnot, and, you know, that's like the lasting legacy stuff that makes it all like, do you know what? Having a hard day, but I guess like when someone must come up to you in the street and say, bro, like, you don't even know, like, but like, you've saved my life in some ways. I think that kind of makes it all worth it. Yeah. And it really does kind of answer the question of like, I am doing, but this is what I am doing it for. Do you know what I mean? So my brother has been.
You know what I said about those moments that someone articulates something that you have the pieces of?
Yeah.
That was one of those moments for me.
Oh, come on, bro. Come on, man. But bro, honestly, man, it's been a pleasure. And this has been your beginning, middle and end. Thank you very much, my brother. God bless you, man. God bless you, man. Hey, what's up, people? My name is Mo Gilligan. I just want to thank you so much for listening and watching my podcast. Now, a lot goes into making this podcast, as you can imagine. I might be the person that's in front of the screen, but it's really about the people that are behind the cameras. And what I'd really appreciate, what you could do for them is, one, give this a like. That would be great. Hype it up. That would be amazing. But most importantly, if you could subscribe, if you could just hit that little bit just there and subscribe. The reason why that helps is it helps us build a community, what people like, what they want to see more of. And most importantly, it gets these podcasts straight to you. So you don't even have to look for them anymore. And how cool is that? Now, listen, if you do want to watch any other episodes, you can check out this episode down here and this episode just down here. My name's Mo Gilligan. Take care. Peace.